Hello, everybody. Welcome to Quantum Catechesis. And you're not. And we're excited today to have Coach Dantonio with us from MSU football. But before we get into that, we've got some important updates. So if you can suffer through those.
Absolutely.
All right. So first of all, this is the only show this week. We figured we wanted to give you something to be grateful for on Thanksgiving so you don't have to sit through a show with me. So no show tomorrow, no show Friday. This will be the only one this week. And next week we'll resume our normal schedule, right? We'll be here Wednesday and we're going to continue our talk about indulgences and saints and all that kind of stuff. But first, I got to give you guys an update on this Shave It or Save It, which is super hard to say. Shave It or Save It campaign. Now you can see, can we get a beard flick, Carrie? Can we get a beard flick? Ready? Tell me when. Yeah, we didn't even hear that one. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
It was a little like, yeah, okay. We're working on, do it again? Okay. See, we're cutting your pay, Carrie. I'm sorry. We're cutting your pay. We're going to cut Carrie's pay. And we don't say Carrie's name on this show. Never say the word Carrie.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So what do we got? Some of you have asked, what if we want you to trim it but not shave it? Well, then that goes to the save it, right? Because frankly, if we decide to save it, I got to do something because right now it's actually interrupting me when I'm preaching at Mass. It has developed a personality and a soul. We baptized it. It didn't take. So what do? We've had over 120 donations so far. Can you believe that? 120 donations. And where are we at? Well, I don't think we're going to tell them, are we? Is this all a surprise?
We're not going to tell you.
We're not going to tell me. Okay. So I will find out on December 11th.
It's a healthy competition right now.
Okay. It's close between Shave It or Save It. So what do? You go to our parish website, whoops, that's gone. All right. You go to a place and you do some stuff. And that way you'll be able to contribute. Here's some crazy stuff. Anyone who donates $250 or more, we will send you a Joe in Black t-shirt, which you said you have. You now have a Joe in Black t-shirt. Anyone who donates $500, we will give you a Joe in Black sweatshirt. And if you give 1,000 or more, you can come have lunch with me and then watch the show. And get this, for every 1,000 over that, you can invite another person. Okay, so crazy stuff, guys, but we're getting after it, and all the money's going to go to our new church construction, right? Help us, maybe, God willing, and the creek don't rise, we're going to be able to pull this puppy off without debt. So we're uber geeked. Next Monday, I'm going to be on Dr. Ray Garandi's show, and I'm pretty fired up. If you want to be a part of the virtual audience, you go to drray.com/virtual. That's a lot of announcements. Did you ever have to suffer through that many before?
Just once.
Just once. Okay. So now, who's this guy? Okay. First, I got to tell you, for those of you who know MSU, I don't have to say much, right? But check this out. Here's some stuff I typed up, and I think you hate this, and I'm sorry. The winningest coach in MSU football history. School record 4 straight bowl wins. First 13-win season in MSU football history. The first coach in Big Ten history to achieve 11 wins in 5 out of 6 seasons. It would kill a mortal. The first college football playoff in MSU history. 2010 Big Ten Championship, Big Ten Coach of the Year. 2011 Big Ten Division Champs. 2013 Big Ten Champs, Big Ten Coach of the Year. 2014 Rose Bowl. 2015 Big Ten Champs, Big Ten East Division. 8 wins. This is my favorite stat. In 13 years against some school in Ann Arbor. I couldn't find out who, but you have 8 wins. And so this is Coach Mark Dantonio, recently retired of MSU football. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I actually am.
Well,
first time I've been interviewed really since I retired, so kept a little profile.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you here. And part of my goal, Mark, you're why I love MSU, right? I graduated from a school in Ann Arbor. I can't recall the name. And after seeing this guy, and I just I had to become an MSU fan, and I've never looked back. And I don't want to claim responsibility for 6 of those 8 wins against U of M, but
Well, you can.
yeah, it was me. It was a risk game I play with some nieces and nephews, and frankly, it was all me. And it was good that you were there. And I'm sure your coaching had, I don't know, something to do with that. But so, what my goal is for people to get to know you a little better. So we're calling the segment "Everything But Football,"
Okay.
right? And so I got lots of questions for God's people to get to know you. And if you're ready, we're going to dive in.
Well, first of all, I just think everybody needs to know that how I came to know you.
Okay.
And a little bit about you in regards to our program and my family and my program as a father, as a grandfather, etc. So I first got to know Father Joe when he was at Lansing Catholic, and my girls were going to school there, and he had such a big impact on them and so many other people there. He later came involved with St. John's and really did a lot of our chapels. Very much involved with our players, come to practices, and so I got to know him in that respect. And then, as many coaches do and many priests do, they move different parishes and things of that nature. So we've stayed in touch over the course of time, and I appreciate you, burying my father, 2011, being part of that, and traveling to Zanesville, Ohio, along with Father Jake at the time, and then being a part of my daughter's wedding. Officiating my daughter's wedding and marrying them.
Yeah.
Hope you like the party.
I did.
And then finally, today actually coming here and baptizing my granddaughter in Charlotte, and that was very, very special. So been a big part of our lives, and will remain that throughout my life and probably throughout Charlotte's life and Kristen and Lauren's life, my 2 daughters. So I appreciate all that you've done for us, and in the name of the Lord and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Amen. And I don't know if you remember, you were with me when we gave last rites to Uncle Jake the first time. And of course, he rallied because it was Jake. Yeah. We gave him last rites in the hospital I think that was after a car accident.
Yes, it was after his car accident.
Mm-hmm. And my God, I remember us in the car and just, what are we going to do without Uncle Jake? And then a year later, he was back on the football field.
Yeah.
My God. It would have killed a mortal to be Jake Folio. Yeah.
So we've had some special times together.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate what you've done for our family.
Oh, I love it. And I
and our football program, Joe. I mean, so many of our players. I think one thing that was unique about, I don't know if it's unique, but in our program, you had different ways to turn. If you felt the need spiritually to get involved, there was certainly that avenue. And whether you were Catholic or Lutheran or Baptist or whatever, but they all had somebody to go to. There were various different people to go to. We had the Athletes in Action people, Phil Gillespie and his group, and so many other people. But I think it was very positive for our young people, and it helped in their growth. And they always had some place to turn if they had that need.
Yeah, and that was what to me was part of your success. Was you intuitively understood. It seemed to me that every young man that God gave you to care for was a body and a soul, and I think that's an easy thing to miss. I do, particularly if we get too utilitarian in our view of humans. And you, to me, and I've said this, anyone who's asked, I'm like, he cares about their soul, and I love that. I do. I think they're used to getting used.
Well, thanks, but it was an incredible 13 years, and I know there were so many things that go unexplained in that 13 years that I think God's hand was on the program.
Me too, especially the Notre Dame thing. Yeah.
I would do it.
I can tell you this now. I don't think I ever told you. Do you know on that play Conway broke my
almost
foot?
killed me.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I did. I know. Do you know on that play Conway almost broke my foot? Do you remember him? Big old lineman.
Yeah, Henry Conway.
He grabbed me, and he kind of jumped, and I didn't have the heart to tell him. He was such a tender-hearted young man. But his 9,000 pounds.
Yeah, I think he was 6'6", about 320.
Yeah, and his shadow weighed 8 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And when he jumped, his cleats and his whole body came down on this foot, and I broke every toe. And I was so happy I didn't care. I mean, it hurt, but I was like, my knee hurts. I don't know. I just thought it's another thing. And it was, I was walking home. I walked back to Thomas that night. And about halfway through, I'm like, man, my feet hurt. And yeah, he broke my toes. And it's, yeah, true story. He was such a tender-hearted kid, I couldn't tell him. So, all right. Well, with that introduction, thank you, Mark. Let me ask you, can you tell me about your family?
Well, I grew up in actually was born in El Paso, Texas, but I grew up in Zanesville, Ohio, St. Nicholas Church, a product of public school education. My dad was in the public school system, and we went to St. Nicholas, though, and I went through the catechism on Sundays and things of that nature. But I have 3 brothers, one right after each other, really, until my youngest is 5 years younger, but there's my oldest, then me, 1 year exactly to the date.
Nice.
Behind him, and then another one a year apart as well. So, it was a family of boys, and my dad was a coach and a teacher, and then became an administrator. And later on, after I'd left high school, he became a principal, but he was an administrator, vice principal, and guidance counselor along the way, and history teacher and coach. And,
cool. Love
and we had a great upbringing. Sometimes my wife says, "Hey, you see things through rose-colored glasses a little bit."
Yeah.
But I just always remember my life. The Lord was always pretty much in the picture.
Yeah.
Always. But I played a lot of sports, and just had did a lot of work around the house. It seems like.
Yeah.
But, sort of covered all the bases.
A lot of scrapping.
A lot of scrapping. A lot of scrapping.
4 Italian boys.
Yeah.
And Mom was Polish.
My mom was Polish.
Yeah.
So my dad 100% Italian, my mom 100% of Polish
That's cool.
descent, and my dad was from Pittsburgh, and my mom was from Wisconsin, and they met in El Paso.
That's crazy.
My mom tells a story that my dad asked her to marry him at a bullfight. And something about, she said she heard ole, and he thought she said okay, and they got married.
Nice. That's fantastic. And it worked out pretty good.
It worked out okay. They were married over 50, 60 years. My dad passed in 11. My mom passed at age 90 in 2019.
Yeah. Oh, bless her. Bless her. And so, you already answered the stuff you like. So did you know, like, when you were a kid that you were going to be a football coach someday, or?
Well, I started playing. This is my first year not involved in August football since I was in 2nd grade.
Isn't that crazy?
And I'm 64 years old, so
Yeah.
you can do the math. But I didn't know that, I wanted to be a pro basketball player like everybody. So, played a lot of basketball and, different sports as I grew up. And I finally figured out I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
And so...
it was just the height, right?
Yeah,
Not
it's
speed.
the height.
Yeah.
But I started thinking about coaching when I was a senior in high school, probably, and I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And I thought the coaches who came to recruit me had a good job, and I didn't know they worked all those hours. But I started thinking about it, and then as I went to college, and I played at the University of South Carolina, and as I went to college, I respected the guy who coached me, and you probably met him, Coach Evans.
Yeah,
Dale
sure.
Evans, who would come to a game once a year for 13 years. Well, until through the Rose Bowl time.
Who was your coach?
He was my coach.
Oh my gosh, I never knew the
My
connection.
secondary coach at South Carolina, and he would come and be a part of things. Got to know everybody in our program, much like you did.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So, at that point in time, I started thinking, I would want to do this, and I didn't really understand how long that road was.
Yeah.
I coached in high school for a year, graduate assistant, got my master's. For another year, made $300 a month, worked for the environmental science department, and they gave the graduate assistantship to football. And so I'd go around and test people's urine and swipe chemistry labs and inspections of dorms and things of that nature, my 20 hours a week, during the off season. And from there I went to Purdue, and they call them part-timers back then. You worked full-time, but you got part-time pay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then I went from there to a junior college in Kansas the next year, Butler Junior College. And, once a Grizzly, always a Grizzly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
you were
that's
Grizzly.
what they always say. But then from there, I went to Ohio State University as a graduate assistant. So for 5 years, I sort of toiled as a graduate assistant through this process. I was there for 83 and 84 before getting a job at Akron. I remember we went 8-3, and they fired the head coach or reassigned him
At 8-3.
at 8-3 because they had Jerry Faust coming to the University of Akron from Notre Dame.
Okay.
So I left there. I went to Youngstown State with Jim Tressel and was there
Yeah.
for five years, and then Kansas for 4, then Michigan State for 6 with Nick Saban, and then back to Ohio State with Jim Tressel for 3, where I was the defensive coordinator. And along the way, Pastor George Cooper, who was former player at Michigan State, would always, when he did a chapel for us on game day, and he actually would say to our players, "Hey, ask God for 3 things, write them down, and watch them fall, watch it happen." And like all good Catholics, I didn't do that for about 2 or 3 months. And so he would stick his head in my office and said, "Hey, did you write that down yet?" And this is when I was an assistant at Michigan State, and finally I did, and I had 2 of them, and the third one is to give me more authority on more of his people, to impact more people.
Yeah.
And about 2 weeks later, I was offered the job at Ohio State,
Wow.
and where I became the defensive coordinator. We won a national championship, etc. And then on to Cincinnati as a head coach, and then Michigan State as a head coach for 13 years. So
My God.
that's sort of my occupational lifeline.
Yeah.
But a lot of twists and turns in there. But this is the first year I've not coached for 41 years.
And that's
But it's been okay.
Yeah.
It's been okay.
Are you enjoying it right now, or are you still settling in, or what we
It
got?
takes a little bit of time to settle because it's different, and it's been a
Yes.
unique year where you had to detach yourself. It was sort of like everybody just what they were doing, everything, because the pandemic was sort of just shut down. So I thought I would be able to gradually step away a little bit, in the sense that maybe go to watch a practice, or go watch a scrimmage or something of that nature, and maybe go have dinner with some players or something like that. But I haven't been able to do that. But I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I prayed a lot about our decision, and it was time. And I think as a head football coach, and probably in many professions, you have to have a vision. Even though you currently are so vested in the present,
Yes.
you have to have a vision for 3 to 4 or 5 years down the line. And it was becoming very difficult at 64 years of age to say, "Hey, I'm going to be coaching at 70."
Yeah.
And I was down in Georgia, and I think it was January. I'm riding around. I said, "Mayor Bryant," I said, "when did he retire? Let's see." Well, he retired at age 70.
No kidding.
He passed away at 71. And that immediately set me thinking,
Yeah.
I want to have a little free time.
Yeah.
So I, it's never easy. There are a lot of reasons to stay. There's a lot of reasons to go. But my family had a lot of sacrifices through this.
Yeah.
My daughters and my wife especially. And so, there were a lot of things that I had to think about in terms of my time with them now. So, made that tough choice and retired in February.
Yeah.
After a lot of sleepless nights thinking about it.
A lot of prayer, I know.
Yeah, because you don't really, you want to make sure that you're with our players, and you don't. It's just there's inevitably always a time when you need to step away.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to. Some people are forced to step away, others are not.
Yeah.
So I just felt like this was the time. And February has always been my reset button, when I would critique everything that had happened. Recruiting was done, and say, okay, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
So at that point, we sat down as a family and made this decision.
Nice.
But yeah, that's the deal.
It's a tiny example, but comparatively, of course. But I remember when Bishop Carl called and asked, or Bishop Earl, called and asked if I would be willing to leave Lansing Catholic. And I had just sat with a couple priests, and I said, I'm losing the ability to communicate with high schoolers, right? That it to me, it's always been generational. You've got Generation X, you got this and that, but man, generations anymore are like 2 years. Humans change so much. And I looked at what I had left in me for that age group, and I said, I have to love them enough to say, you need someone younger, you need someone new. And again, I don't know if that's, but at least that's
well,
what
there's
was
been
in
so
my
much
heart.
change that has taken place, and when I came to Michigan State, Twitter didn't exist.
Yeah.
There was no social media. If
Yeah.
you can, 2007, and I ventured into that in 2014. I remember my coaches said, "You got to get on Twitter."
Yeah.
And and then there's been change from there. So
Yeah.
I think that I can identify with that, and while young people never truly change,
Yeah.
there is change in their the way they develop, maybe, or because of the modern societies.
A lot of data. So, how'd you meet Becky? How'd you meet your beloved?
Well, that one year I was at Akron,
Okay.
I met Becky out, like most people, and then we saw each other a little bit, dated a little bit, and then I went to Youngstown State. She was actually a salesperson for a tile corporation. She always tells me she was a woman in construction, but so she would have Youngstown as part of her territory, so we started having lunch together every now and then, and I'd sneak away for 15 minutes for lunch, and then that sort of led to dating her, and we dated for a couple of years, and then got married in 1990.
Nice.
So 30 years this year.
Nice. So she was 5 when you guys got married.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted that on the record.
We don't want that on the record.
She might be watching. Yeah. And did you know, when did you know, you were like, man, if I can convince this woman to marry me, do you have a specific moment?
She lured me in.
She did.
She just
Set
kept
the hook.
she just kept setting that hook a little bit and then it finally got to a point where I told her all my life story and all my because we really became very, very, obviously early on there was a different side of it, but then we became very, very good friends.
Yeah.
And I told her everything.
Yeah.
And then I started. Then I felt like I need her in my life for good.
Nice.
So.
Nice. She's a good lady. Here's a crazy one. How many cities have you lived in?
Well, I sort of went through it, but
Yeah.
I've lived in, I guess, El Paso, Zanesville. Growing up, I was in Columbia, South Carolina. You'd call that living there. And then I was in Athens, Ohio. I was in Anderson, South Carolina. Then Athens, Ohio, and then from there to West Lafayette. From there out to El Dorado, Kansas, which is a little place, a couple stoplights
Yeah.
near Wichita. And then from there bounced to Ohio State, so Columbus, Ohio, then Akron, Youngstown, Lawrence, Kansas, East Lansing, Columbus again, Cincinnati, back to East Lansing.
That's like 4. I counted.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, but for a coach, really, I've spent a lot of, pretty good, other than the early part of my time, I had some stability.
Yeah.
At least 4 years in or at least 3 or 4 years in 5 or 6 places, but 13 years being in one place is it's almost unheard of. I was the 7th. I think I had the 7th longest tenure maybe in the country. I was the 7th oldest head coach at 64.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I retired. So you forget about that.
Sure.
And I want them to forget about that. But
Well, Joe Paterno coached, I think, 860 years, if
Yeah.
I remember right. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But so I've been around a little bit, but at the same time, my girls were able to come to East Lansing,
Yeah.
go through high school at Lansing Catholic. They both went to St. Martha's early on.
Yeah.
Go to Lauren came back to St. Martha's, then go to Lansing Catholic, and then come to Michigan State and graduate from there. So they had their years of really development as an adolescent and
Yes.
a high schooler in one place. And that was very important to us. And then prior to that, they'd spent some time in Columbus and Cincinnati. So they really hadn't had to move all that much compared to some of the other families of coaches.
Nice. Oh, do you have one city that was your favorite?
Yeah, East Lansing.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Hi.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's actually...
Going green.
Yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but that's actually Jesus' favorite city as well. Yeah, it's in the Bible. Don't look it up. Speaking of Bible, favorite book besides?
I think the book of Jacob.
Which one?
I think Joshua.
Oh, Joshua in the Bible. Your favorite book in the Bible is Joshua. Oh, yeah.
Oh, favorite book.
Favorite book besides the Bible.
I started reading.
Love Joshua, by the way.
I started reading Killing Jesus. My wife got me Killing Jesus, and basically I went through all of them.
Okay.
Killing Kennedy, killing,
Yeah.
all of them. I think there were 6 of them, and I found those books to be fascinating. And I've read some other stuff, leadership books for football and in a leadership point of way, and I'd always carry that forward. And, so I thought that was a positive, but I probably need to do a little bit more reading in terms of just for enjoyment. But
Sure.
I love those books.
Yeah, those are amazing.
Yeah. Historical books.
And I should get you. I got to remember. I've got a few to throw at you, like a few historical, good stuff.
I read Unbroken. I thought that was a great book.
Prisoner of War, Japanese, World War II.
World
Yeah,
War II.
and then an Olympian, if I
Yes.
remember. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Boy, that's been a while.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of
Nice. Well, it's been a while since World War II.
Yeah.
Math is my strong suit. 20% of the time it's my favorite. So, okay, how about your favorite movie? Do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie. I've watched a lot of those, so I'm not, favorite movie. Maybe Gladiator.
Yeah, Gladiator's a good movie. Oh, you know what I got to get you to watch is Firefly.
Firefly.
Joss Whedon, great movie. And I always think every football coach should watch that.
Okay.
But I never told you that kind of stuff when you were coaching, because the last thing you needed was one more person telling you how to do your job. Yeah. I did offer at one point some pretty key insights to you, though. I remember we got to score on offense, things like that.
Yeah.
Those kind of insights, years of watching football. I don't want to brag.
Well, it's
Yeah.
Could be as elementary as you want it to be.
Yeah, I actually told Tom Izzo during a game one time, we've got to stop him on D.
Got to make your free throws.
Funny. Yeah. So I felt pretty good. I don't want to say I'm directly responsible for some of those wins, but okay. What's your favorite? So you said Joshua, and I do remember that when I first met you, that I had made a whole anyway. Joshua's your guy. Yeah. And for those of you not familiar, if you walk through the book of Exodus, there's this Moses generation and a very surly, stubborn, angry people who kept ticking God off and paying for it. And when the Moses died, Joshua took over, and that generation never failed the Lord. That's what I love about it. Like, you could almost see that they saw their parents and were like, oh, hell no, and just when the Lord said go, they went. And that was Joshua. And he was, I like God's first speech to him, be strong and courageous, be strong. Over and over, he keeps saying that to him. And rough. That's a spicy meatball. So do you have a favorite thing about being Catholic?
I think that for me, because I have lived in different areas,
Sure.
I've grown up in one place the entire life, and so I've not been in one particular church.
Sure.
I think the consistency
Yeah.
of being able to go to a Catholic church, and it wasn't always about the priest who was in charge. It was about, okay, this is the Mass, and this is what the Mass encompasses. And so that to me was important, that I felt like I could always find God in that church, wherever I went, whenever I went. So I would say the consistency, like Nick Saban would say, consistency in performance.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And ritual is so soothing. You know what I mean? It's again, it's one of those to me the genius of Catholicism truly is that it treats the human, like I said, you're a body soul unity, right? A church is a feast for the eyes and the body as well as the soul, and nothing can soothe the mind like ritual.
yeah.
You know.
Well, I sort of felt like, when I'd go with my wife Becky, and she says, I really didn't like that priest this time. I didn't
Yeah.
really like what he had to say.
Yeah.
Wasn't talking about you. But what I would always come back with is it's not about the priest.
Yeah.
He makes it better, or he makes it. The message is strong, but it's not about that.
Yes.
It's about the sacraments of going
Yeah.
to church, and it's about the consistency of what's. And so, while some may see it as a ritual, I sort of always felt like it was consistent, and it gave me a sense of peace whenever I left church.
Yeah. And in my defense, by the way, I was drunk.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things. You know what I mean? Like everyone.
You could do that on a podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And we were gonna edit it out, but we don't know how to do that. So, okay. Do you have a favorite saint?
St. Teresa?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's Teresa, the little flower, and then there's Teresa of Avila. Do you do anything in particular? Do you remember?
Mother
I can
Teresa.
help. Mother Teresa. Oh, that's not fair. Yeah, she's awesome. I got to meet her. Did you ever meet her?
No.
Oh, well, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I got to meet her. I got shoved. She shoved me out of the way trying to get communion from the Pope.
Really?
And I consider that meeting her.
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, she
I
gave
would
me
think
how
so.
you doing. No, she did. That's a true story. And I even got a scusi. She said it in Italian, which she's what is she, Albanian?
Yeah.
But she said it in Italian. Scusi.
And isn't she like this?
Ow. Huh?
Isn't she like
She's this tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had a buddy who worked with her, and Father Tim McDonald,
Okay.
and he said she was just the toughest woman God ever made. And he said he goes in for his morning prayer, and they have this chapel, and she brings in this bucket, a mop bucket. Were you there when he told the story?
No.
She flipped it upside down, and that's what she sat on, and did a 2-hour prayer time, just sitting on this mop bucket. And she was 900 years old at that point. But yeah, she's so cool. Yeah, and I got shoved out of the way.
And the thing that I took from her would be, and I'm not sure how she said it exactly, but that, and I would say this to our coaches and to our football team on occasion at a team meeting, just that, be kind, because everybody everybody's fighting their own fights.
Yep.
Everybody's got problems going on that you have no idea what they're dealing with. And when you stand in front of probably about 150 people with coaches and players and et cetera every single day, which we did, we'd have a 5-minute team meeting every day just to set the tone. I often wondered, okay, what's everybody experiencing today? I mean, who had this happen in their families? I remember Amp Campbell, who played for me back in the late 90s, All-American player, and I don't know if you remember, but he broke his neck and then came back and played and scooped the ball against Oregon in '99 and won the game and all that kind of stuff. But Amp was beside himself during stretch. And I said, "What's wrong?" And he goes, "Nothing." I asked him about 3 times, "What's the problem? What's going on?" And as he told me, and he says, "My house is burning down right now back home in Florida." I said, "Right now?" He goes, "Yeah, right now." So there's a lot of people there are so many people out there that have needs that we don't understand, and they're going through things. And I just always kept that in mind as I would stand up there, because football is just a vehicle to get. It's entertainment.
Yes.
And Jim Tressel used to say, as Pat Riley would always say, it's entertainment. That's what you're trying to do. Hey, if you win, everybody's happy. I know that, but at the end of it, they want to see great plays and emotion, and people come to watch.
And Little Giants.
Yeah. So along the way, everybody's dealing with their own problems. I took that from Mother Teresa. I just thought that it was pretty important to always recognize that.
And it's extraordinary. If you know this, shut me down. But she, in her biography, what was kind of revealed after she died was she hadn't felt or sensed the presence of the Lord the last 7 years of her life. And she was going all on conviction and discipline. And you never would have known it, right? With that perpetual smile, with that perpetual sacrifice, And my buddy who worked with her said, no kidding, she worked 20 hours a day feeding the poor. And he told a story about at one point they had spent the whole day feeding people, literally. And at the end of the day, he went up and he looked, and the crowd was already forming for the next morning, right? People were setting up little like blankets to hide under so they could be closer to the front the next day. And he said, I just started bawling, right? He's so much need. And she said to him when she approached him, she saw him, he's a good guy. And she asked him why he was crying, and he said, we'll feed them tomorrow and they'll be hungry again. And they're all gonna die, right? They're dirt poor, they're sick. And he said she kind of patted him and said, our goal is fidelity, not success. And boy, that was a cowboy up speech for him. And he said, she just said it so gently but so firmly, our goal is fidelity, not success. And it was like, wow, she was something. So let's see, if you could convince every kid you ever coached of one thing, what would it be?
Sooner or later you'll grow up.
Yeah.
I think that as a coach, you see growth. You see growth, tremendous growth in young people at a time when they come and they're 18, and you say, okay, we're going to jog across the field in their first practice, and they sprint across the field because they're so excited.
Yeah.
And as the seniors, they say, hey, slow down, just take it easy, we'll jog. But I think that you see growth in people, and that's the great thing about coaching, that you're a part of that growth. You're not the ultimate part of that growth, but you watch them grow as individuals. And sometimes they find their way when they're done with football, and it might take 10 years out of college. But people probably go in cycles like this. But the growth, being able to master something, being able to learn something, regardless of what that is, over the course of 4 or 5 years, and you having been a part of that and a part of that growth. Just a part, but pretty significant part, but a part of it.
Yeah.
And as I look back at myself and how I grew up, coaches had a lot to do with that. I remember my second grade coach, my third grade coach. I remember my junior high coach, my high school coach. My high school coach, I don't know if you saw him, he always came around he had a big stick he walked with.
Yeah.
That's my high school coach.
Get
He
outta
still
here.
comes to games.
Oh my gosh.
So this is his first games. He's not coming to as well. He's still going.
Yeah.
But those type of things, I think, are why you coach. At the end of it, you enjoy the X's and O's, you enjoy the techniques and the fundamentals and the competitiveness of the games and all that kind of stuff, and especially the practices and the preparation. But you enjoy the interactions with young people. I think that's really ultimately what keeps you in the game. And
yes,
as I said, this 41 years.
That's crazy.
41 years straight. So it's time to take a step back and look at it.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know if you can answer this, but I'm going to throw it out there. Do you have a favorite Big Ten team that is not MSU?
Absolutely.
Can I ask?
Oh, it's Ohio State.
Okay, Ohio State. Okay, there we figured, but I wanted to check. Okay.
Yeah, I was I was 60 miles from where I grew up, but I was a graduate assistant there, and really everything that happened after that was as a result of being at Ohio State.
Sure.
The people that hired me. Nick Saban was an Ohio State guy at one point. Glenn Mason at Kansas, Jim Tressel. All these people had an Ohio State connection. But then, as I got there and I saw and I'm walking over, and I meet Woody Hayes.
Yeah. Holy crap.
And
yeah.
I met him like 3 times, and I've worked for Earl Bruce, and staying there, getting ready. I was a graduate assistant, getting ready to go to the Rose Bowl, and we're waiting for the buses to come up. We're outside the hotel in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And I'd gotten to know Archie Griffin because she got to know my mother.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We worked for the Civil Service Commission in Zanesville. Anyway, a long story there.
Archie Griffin.
No, my mom.
Oh, but I mean Archie Griffin
Knew
through
my
your
mom.
mom. My gosh.
So I brought that up, so we're talking, so I'd got to know him a little bit. So we're talking, and Woody Hayes walks up and starts talking to Archie, not me.
Right.
Then Earl Bruce walked up. So I'm standing there, I'm like, they're all three talking, I'm standing right there, sort of like this. And so I just took a couple step backs, and but it was a unique experience, and a lot of the players that I had met, former players that I had gotten to know, just following them. So Ohio State's the second team.
Mine's Northwestern.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I have no idea why.
Yeah. Pat Fitzgerald, great guy.
I think so.
Great
I
guy.
do. I don't know if
Having
you
great
remember.
success this year.
You introduced me to him. It was the game the day after Thanksgiving. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago. And you just said he's a class act.
Oh yeah.
And that was a cool thing. And I don't know. To me they're not supposed to be good, and they are. And that's I always like underdogs. I do, and for some reason in my head they're perpetual underdogs. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, they play Michigan State this weekend. So
Yeah, I
it'll
know.
be
Yeah.
big game.
Yeah. Well, anyway, funny story. But okay, so how about how are we doing? Oh, we're good. Okay, what are your hobbies?
Well, I'm working on some of those.
Sure.
Pretty much football was I wouldn't call it a hobby, but it took up a lot of our time. And then after that, I just like being with my family. But I like going to the lake. I got a dog.
Yeah.
So
Should
my
I
wife
ask
says,
about
"Hey,
that?
you need a dog." I said, "Okay, we'll get another one," because we already had two. So
Yeah.
we got 3 dogs now. But shot skeet for the first time a little bit the other day, and went fly fishing and.
Fly fishing.
Fly fishing.
That's right. You're disciplined. Disciplined guys can do fly fishing.
Well, that's the first time ever, so
Yeah.
I
Oh,
would say my wife caught more than I did. So, but what do I like to do? I just, I'm not overcomplicated.
Yeah.
Probably like what everybody likes to do a little
Sure.
bit. I'll go to some games. I like going to football games now. I found that out.
yeah. Oh, really? So it is a
So I
joy
found
to
the
you.
2.
Yeah. Okay. And is it a joy? Do people leave
Yeah.
you? Do they let you watch?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I remember we were playing Lansing Catholic in hockey. This is one of my favorite stories. We were playing Chelsea, and Jeff Daniels had a son skating for Chelsea. I think I'm saying Chelsea. It might have been Dexter. I can't remember. But on the announcements, the principal gets on before the game, and he says, "Look, Jeff Daniels is gonna be. He just wants to watch his kid. Everybody leave him alone, right? Just don't bother him, right? Let the poor man watch his kid play." And then a little note even went to the parents saying, "Just let the man watch his kid play," right? So I'm behind the bench, and we're playing them, and I look, and I was so proud of our little Lansing Catholic family. He was all alone. He was given a big circle, right? And humans gave him this big gap, and he's just sitting there. And one of our dads was parked right next to him. And just like gesticulating wildly. In the whole first period, I'm watching this dad talking to him about Dumb and Dumber, is what I found out. Because I just went over, I was like, "Bro, leave the guy alone." I just let him watch his kid. I was asking about Dumb and Dumber. I said, "You and everybody else, right? I want to ask him about Dumb and Dumber."
Good movie.
Great movie. But I was thinking that. So, true story.
Yeah,
Write that
and
down.
throughout my time here, come in contact with a lot of people, a lot of good people.
Oh, yeah.
And people really, when they've seen me, they've reached out, and it was very rewarding. I think a lot of Spartans out there, and thank them for always being kind and being, making it special.
Yeah. Well, and that was the first thing I learned as a Spartan, right? What was your first year? 07, 09? 7. So 07 was the first time I put on an MSU shirt, right?
Yeah.
And I had uncles who taught there, right? So it wasn't alien to me. It was just So I put on my Spartan shirt, and I never knew this, right? Because I'd wear the other stuff. Spartans, if they see a green and white, they'll say something. Go green. Right? And it's kind of funny. You don't get that with the other one, because I think I was about to make a derogatory comment.
Yeah, you get that. You get the Go Blues though too sometimes.
Yeah, they don't mean that. Yeah. And odds are they didn't go there. So, now you ready for a speed round?
Sure.
Okay, so these are we'll give you two options. It's just whichever one you prefer. Okay? All right. And there's no sense to this except you need to remember I'm a redneck, so I made these. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Car or truck?
Truck.
Italian or Mexican?
Italian.
Steak or fish?
Fish.
Baseball or soccer?
Baseball.
Basketball or baseball?
Basketball.
Okay, now we're not friends. Chevy or Ford?
Ford.
Man. Movie or book?
Probably movie.
Fishing or hunting?
Fish.
Sunrise or sunset? That's weird.
Sunset.
Alaska or Florida?
Florida.
U of M or Satan?
I'm
sorry. I was thinking of Winston Churchill, right? When they said, there was this great question somebody asked him, if Hitler invades France, who are you going to side with? And who would you side with? And he said, if Hitler invaded hell, I'd wear red.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's see. Carrie,
we have some questions up at the top.
we do. Do you want to see if you want to try some? All right. You know what I gotta do now, right? Get the old glasses. I got old. All right. So, need coach's opinion. Oh, all right. People are looking for your opinion on shave it or save it. You can't hurt my
I'd
feelings.
say shave it.
Shave it? Okay. Are you jealous of the braids? Okay, that's not
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, I understand. But you got hair up top. This went away in 2000. Okay. Okay. Have you ever considered writing a book?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
I have.
I think that'd be cool.
I have. I think there's a time, what's happened right now for me is, I'm just trying to get my feet on the ground, in terms of, okay, you're done coaching, what's next a little bit, and then really organizationally and doing some things that I haven't done,
Yeah.
But when I say organizationally, I have all this stuff. I
Yeah.
have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I brought you stuff.
Yeah.
But you can if you want. But I have a lot of stuff that I need to go through and
Yeah.
sort of just get myself organized a little bit.
I get you.
But
Your office-
writing a book to me would be something that's going to take a little time.
Yeah. Yeah, your office, all of a sudden I just saw it in my head. Sweet Lord. You had some stuff in there.
I had some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's been some stuff given to me that so I'm like, okay, got to go through this box, go through that box. So I've taken my time and because there's a lot of memories there.
And we have, do you still have this one that I gave you, the rosary like this?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. That's, I put medals on mine, but I like this one because you can't break it. And by the way, this rosary, I don't know if I told you this, I believe this won the Peach Bowl. Was that the 3 overtime one? Was that the Peach Bowl?
Outback Bowl.
Was that Outback Bowl where we played Georgia?
Yeah, Georgia Peaches though. So.
Yeah, there we go. I don't know if you know this. That was her maiden voyage, and
Okay.
beginning of the 3rd time, I started dragging Mama into it. I try to keep her out of football. I figure she's got things to do, but okay. So I don't know if you're aware, but on the show I teach the truth of the faith, right? That Jesus went to MSU, and this person says, we know Jesus went to MSU, yet God's people on both sides of the stadium are praying for a win. What do you think about the role of prayer in winning?
The rule of prayer in regards to winning.
Yeah.
The role of it. The role of prayer. I think that you ask God for anything, He tries to deliver.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with praying in the midst of a game,
Yeah.
before a game, certainly. There's been so many different, things in the Bible that have sort of, in James you talk about persistence, and
Yeah.
the book of Esther is very, very
Oh yeah.
important to us and to our family, and for such a time as this.
Yeah.
I really felt like I was brought to Michigan State for such a time as this. We even have a dog named Esther.
That's
And because my wife was, our family was going through some different things with her dad having cancer, and she lost her sister to cancer, and she was in a bad place with everything. And so we got her puppy, we named Esther.
yeah.
But
I love Esther.
stand firm, and Moses had said, "Stand firm, and you will see the." Go ahead.
Sorry.
Stand firm, and you will see the
Glory of God.
The glory of God. Yeah.
Nice. I wasn't sure.
No.
Yeah. I was thinking of Esther. Where...
Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance. The deliverance the Lord will bring you today.
Okay. All right. I was
Fight
thinking
for
of
you.
Esther.
You need only be still. A lot of things going on.
Well,
But I think in terms of that question, absolutely. If you don't think 75 or 100,000 people in the stands won't help you pray,
yeah.
you're praying.
Yeah.
If you have faith, you're praying throughout a football game as you go. At least I did.
And since MSU is where Jesus went to school, I just assume we have the advantage in terms of prayer.
Hopefully.
Yeah. What is more fun, being a coach or being a grandpa?
Being a grandpa,
Yeah.
not quite as pressure.
Yeah, I'll bet. Good Lord. All right. What's more important, the confidence of winning or learning to handle losing?
I think it's both equally important. But I will say the ability to handle defeat is extremely important in your development
Yes.
as a young person, and even as a person throughout his life, but as a young person especially. You need to be able to handle failure
Yes.
before you can really climb the mountaintops.
Yes.
You really have to. If you can't do that, because ultimately you are going to fail
Yeah.
at something. Somebody's going to be better than you. Something's going to happen that's going to take you downward, and you've got to be able to handle the lows
Yeah.
with the highs.
As a man of great faith, I wonder how you manage to impart those values to players without being preachy.
I've tried to let people. So many of our players came to Michigan State with a sense of faith, and my goal was always to provide an avenue or vehicle where they would not lose their faith.
Yeah.
In a time when they're away from home for the first time, and with all the temptations of college life, was there going to be any place for them to go to try and hold on to their faith? And so it was completely we created an avenue, and I am who I am.
Yes.
But I didn't push that on anybody. And when I got there, amazingly, Justin Kershaw came to me when I got there, and first got there in 07. Said, "Are we still going to say the word?" And I was like, he just out of the blue. I said, "What are you talking about? Are we still going to pray after practice?" And I said, "Yeah, if you want to pray after practice, we can pray after practice. That's something that you guys can do." And so I would just sort of stay off by the side and with them, and so it was an opportunity for people to continue to grow in their faith, and I just tried to stay out of their way and make it accessible and provide an opportunity for athletes in action to have a space and to do the different things that I could do, but at the same time live my faith according to what I felt.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question.
It did, absolutely. And if you don't mind, as someone who watched, right, I was there a lot, and I think more than anything, you in a positive way have a energy around you that says a lot without you talking. And I know that sounds like a funny thing to say, but a lot of the players expressed to me, and in public, or I wouldn't say that, right? In a group of humans, they just didn't want to let you down. that I think you're, and this is the word I always use with you in my heart, is integrity. You're just a man who wants to do the right thing in the right way for the right reason. And, virtue is one of those things where 1 out of 3 don't cut it. It's got to be 3 for 3. The right thing at the right time for the right reason. And I think for whatever that's worth, as a guy who watched, that's what
I would tell him the truth.
Yeah.
And I don't want to presume anything because everybody has it. It's just, can they find it? But I felt the Holy Spirit in me a lot.
Me too. Yeah.
And so I would try, and I felt like I would look at, and again, I go back to what I said, that so many different people in our football team have problems or situations that go beyond football that they're dealing with. And it's very important that they see me as somebody who can help them in that area as much as I can as a football player.
Yes.
And so you can wear both hats, and be kind. Everybody's fighting a good fight. Be strong.
Yeah.
Be convicted. Stay focused. Stay consistent. I've talked a lot. I tell my 2 daughters growing up, and I would tell our players, if you have discipline and if you are mature, you're going to be successful. So discipline and maturity are 2 aspects that you need to learn and be able to handle at the different levels of your life.
Yeah.
And that's what we've tried to do.
Nice. All right. 2 more questions if you're up for it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. This one I don't know if you can answer, but your favorite MSU game?
And we've had some good ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite one might be, obviously, the Michigan ones were big.
Yeah.
The Iowa game was huge. The Ohio State game, championship game, was huge. The Holiday Bowl, because we bounced back.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I always try to talk about is that you need to bounce back. You need, when you're down, can you recover? Can you get back up on top? Can you survive it? Can you march forward? Can you stay focused? Can you keep pushing through things? And that season we rebounded from a tough season the year before and a lot of problems.
Yeah.
The one thing about a coach is you can control some things, but there's a lot of things that are completely out of control on the field and off the field.
Yeah.
But bouncing back and winning 10 games that year was a point of focus. But we've had some great games. Great games, and some are hard to explain.
Oh yeah.
But we won a lot of football games, and we won a lot of close games. Lost some close ones too, so it goes both ways. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say, what's yours to that person?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I gotta tell you, and I can't remember if I told you, because I always try to be careful, right? Not to be another one of those, but I wasn't with you at the time. I had been reassigned, but he has trouble with the snap game.
Yeah.
Do you know that was my mom's last game?
It was.
Did you know that? Yeah. And she lost the ability to talk, and again, she's very childlike and all. But I went over and I whispered in her ear, "Holy crap, Ma, we won." Because I had just told her we lost, right? I did. I went over and says,
faith.
"Oh, I know." I says, "Mom," we fought hard, but it looks like we're gonna lose." And then 30 seconds later, and again, knowing she couldn't hear or understand or anything, she smiled. She straight up smiled, and I was so trying to explain to people. Athletics that you love are a gift. It's a gift you give the country. It's a gift you give the state. It's a gift you give the MSU grads. Win, lose, or draw. Just that we're in the fight, and there's such a joy, and those moments were literally, there was no way. I think the next week we lost to Nebraska. Is that right? Does that sound right to you?
I can't remember, Joe. I know that one way or the other, where we hit Nebraska and then maybe beat Michigan and then
Okay.
Maybe we went to Rutgers and then beat Michigan and then played Ohio State.
Yeah, I just
It
know
was
our
like
next
something
game
like
we
that.
lost, and I joked that that's because it was the first time Ma wasn't praying on Earth. She's a little busy in heaven, kind of getting acclimated, But my God, that was just so.
I was on the bus. I don't know if we have time to say this.
Yeah, rock it.
But I was on the bus the night before. They came out of their little team meeting and they were hyped.
Yeah.
And so the next morning, I think it was an earlier game.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the way to the stadium at Michigan, and I was like, we got to get that buzz back. We got to get that hype back. So I was like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? So I as we pulled up, because it's always pretty emotional when we pull up, everybody's screaming at you, yelling at you at Michigan Stadium as you get off the bus.
Oh yeah.
It's a good feel. Anyway, they still do that just walking around. But I said nobody gets off the bus until I tell them to. So it was just like a dead bus.
Yeah.
And so I stood up and I counted to 10. I said, I want you to think about you're going to get the last 10 seconds of the game, what's it going to be like, where we're going to be, what's going to happen.
Wow.
And but you're going to get these 10 seconds back.
Yeah.
And so I counted to 10, and then we got off the bus.
How about that?
And then the last 10 seconds came. And I didn't make the correlation at the time,
Yeah.
but the last 10 seconds occurred. That's something we never practiced. We had never practiced it. I just said, hey, come off the edges. Don't put a guy back. Give them one more, and they got a block. And, the rest of it just happened. And you can say that's coaching, or you can say that's provincial.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's something that I'll forever hang on to. And there's just some things that I can't explain. And since I'm here talking to you, I can say these things. But there's some things as we got ready for the Big Ten championship game versus Ohio State, and Harlan Barnett's doing the chapel, and I'm sitting off to the side, and he's talking about the Holy Spirit, and as he's talking, I see a little smoke come out of his mouth. And I'm not exaggerating.
No,
these things. And so there are just some things that I've seen happen that are hard to explain.
Yeah.
They're very hard to explain. So, but it's been a blessing to be at Michigan State.
Yeah.
And I always appreciate and value that blessing.
It's I think I texted you when it happened, but it was, I don't know, it wasn't too long ago. Dad and I were driving through East Lansing, and I said, well, let's go see Mark. Mm-hmm. And it was so funny. We go to pull in. I'm like, holy crap, he's not here. Right? He had retired. Yeah. And I think I texted you, and I'm like, this is weird. I could. It was just such a thing. You were a rock for us, and for so many that you'll never meet till heaven. And I know every once in a while you'd say to me, it's just football, and I know, but it's more too. And so we're ready.
Well, it's a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift because it's a blessing. It's a gift because you have an opportunity to impact a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you can take that opportunity and work for the good, or you can say, hey, I'm just going to be a coach.
Yeah.
And I try to do my best.
Okay. Ready for the final question?
Final question.
Is it over?
No, it's never over. But,
greatest line ever.
Never over.
Well,
some things are never over.
Yeah. Well, we're so grateful for you coming, brother,
well,
and we all love you, and we're praying for you.
Thanks for all you've done for my family and for our players. And when I say my family, that's everybody, not just my immediate family, but my extended family, my brothers, my in-laws, my players, some of our administration, some of the people that would come to the game that didn't know you, that like my coach, and some different people like that. You've always been a rock for us, and I appreciate that very, very much.
I'm honored.
God bless.
God bless you. So thank you for being here. God bless you today. And
been fun.
Yeah, good times, hey? And we'll keep you updated on the Shave It or Save It campaign. But do you mind if I say about the studio? Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay, so I just want to let you know we're building a studio, and it's because of Coach and some others who went in, and I'm really grateful for that. And it'll help people see my delicate floweriness, my chiseled abs, my savage good looks. These are all, we just say the money maker. That's
Yeah.
what we call this. And yeah.
Show business.
Showbiz, what can I say? It's God's gift to me and to the world. We're so grateful for you all tuning in. And don't forget, pop in next Wednesday. We'll be here at noon, and we're going to talk about, what are we talking about? Indulgences and saints and all sorts of crazy stuff. But thank you for tuning in, everybody, and have a beautiful, blessed Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week.